Yeah, you read that correctly. Do not use your SSR selector before a certain point. I'm going to tell you how to not make a critical mistake with your SSR selector here in the early games of Tower of Fantasy. But very quickly first, I am live streaming the global release of Tower of Fantasy. I'm probably live if you are seeing this on release day. So come and hang out. Link to that in the description below. But now let's talk about the SSR selector. So right off the bat, the SSR selector is going to be given out in at least the first 20 days of Tower of Fantasy's release. We don't know how early on we'll be able to get it. I imagine it will be relatively soon before those first 20 days, but we shall see. But the critical mistake is don't use that SSR selector as soon as you get it. Hold on to that SSR selector. The reason is because with the standard banner, right, at the beginning of the game, you will have no SSRs yet. And so that means on the standard banner, your chances of getting a duplicate weapon is very, very low. And you're going to need multiple weapons, at the very least 3 weapons, to build a full loadout in Tower of Fantasy. So what you want to do is roll on the standard banner first. At 30 wishes, the very first time you're wishing on the standard banner, you're going to get a guaranteed SSR for your very first ever wishes. Then 50 wishes after that, you're guaranteed to get another one. That means if you get lucky along the way, you will have 3 SSRs in your first 80 wishes of the standard banner. What this means is that you then have a very low likelihood for those first 3 wishes of getting a duplicate weapon. After you get those first 3 weapons, what you want to do is potentially, if you haven't gotten the weapon that you really, really want yet, you can at that point use the SSR selector. At that point, you're probably safe to do so after those first 80 wishes. However, it will still be better for you to hold off and wait and hold on to that SSR selector. During Tower of Fantasy's beginning stages of the game, you are going to get flooded with black nuclei and gold nuclei from exploration, completing rewards and achievements, completing exploration progress. And I would hold your SSR selector until after you have fully explored the map, or at least majority explored the map for all of those regions. The reason being is the longer you hold on to it, the more chance you have of acquiring all of the different weapons that are going to be on the standard banner. Say for instance, there are 9 weapons on the standard banner, and by the time you finish exploring and everything like that, you have 6 SSRs, maybe you got 2 dupes along the way, so you have 4 unique SSRs. That means you have about half of the SSRs on the banner, and at that point you have enough to make a relatively educated decision on what weapons you want to be doing based on the role, whether you want to be tanking, healing, DPSing. And at that point, you can make the decision of whether or not you want to get a specific weapon that you still haven't gotten yet, and then you can use the SSR selector. But at the very minimum, wait until you have at least 3 SSRs from the standard banner to use your SSR selector. Because as you get further and further into the standard banner, the more difficult it will be, the more unlikely you are to get the last weapon that you haven't gotten yet, or the last couple weapons that you haven't gotten yet. And that's where the SSR selector will be really, really helpful. Now, if you're worried about not being able to upgrade your weapons and get the constellations and the stars to refine those weapons, don't worry about that, because as you get wishes for the standard banner and make wishes, you will get black gold coins. And as you can see here in the shop, the black gold coins can be used to buy refinements. I believe it's 2 per month or 2 per week that you can buy from the standard banner shop. After you have an SSR weapon, you can buy those upgrades, those stars, those refinements, but you cannot buy a upgrade for a weapon that you don't have yet. say for instance you want Meryl's Claymore and you've held off on your SSR selector. And you've decided you're far enough into the game, you've done a ton of wishes, you have 500 black gold coins saved up, you've gotten a bunch of SSRs, but you still haven't gotten Meryl's weapon. And you've decided, I want to use my upgrades, I'm holding on to my black gold coins to upgrade Meryl's weapon, I'm ready to use my SSR selector now. You know, you're a couple weeks into the game, you're starting to get into doing some more of the difficult content, and you say, it's time, I haven't gotten Meryl yet, I want to get Meryl, I really want to use this weapon, and then buy some stars for the weapon as well. So what you can do is you can use your SSR selector, and then at that point, all of those black gold coins that you have saved up over time and not instantly bought refinements for other weapons that you've had because you've kept your eye on a specific weapon and you really want to get at least 2 or 3 stars for that weapon, you can then buy 2 of those stars right off the bat, and then save the rest of those for either other weapons in your loadout that you want to upgrade, or continue and wait until the shop resets again, and then you can buy up to 2 more again. And that will be a super easy way for low spenders and FTP players to target specific weapons and specific upgrades while also not limiting themselves into what weapons they have available to them. The SSR selector, I think, is more valuable as a filling out the roster tool instead of using it as right off the bat, day one, or whenever we get the SSR selector, get the weapon you want and go. Because who knows, maybe 10 pulls later on the standard banner, you get that weapon that you just selected with your SSR collector, and you're like, well, now I only have 1 SSR and I've got a refinement for it, but I still need 2 more weapons and I don't have another SSRs for those slots. So that's what I recommend doing. I've seen a lot of videos of people saying, who you should pull or not pull or do this with the SSR selector. And what my advice is don't pull anyone with the SSR selector until you are into that mid to late game stage of exploration and you have used up majority of those front loaded wishes that you will get while playing Tower of Fantasy. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in Ada. Peace.